October 1956. A Chrysler dealer in Detroit hands a customer the keys to a brand new Plymouth Belvedere. The customer slides behind the wheel, starts the engine, and reaches for the gear selector. Except there is no gear selector. No lever on the steering column. No stick on the floor. Instead, mounted in a gleaming pod to the left of the steering wheel, there are 6 chrome buttons labeled Park, Reverse, Neutral, Drive, Second, and Low. The customer presses drive. The transmission clicks into gear. For the next 9 years, Chrysler Corporation sold hundreds of thousands of cars where you shifted gears by poking buttons, like you were ordering coffee from an automat. This is the story of one of the strangest transmission interfaces Detroit ever mass-produced, and why it disappeared almost as suddenly as it arrived. Push-button automatic transmissions were not Chrysler's idea originally. That honor belongs to a company most people have never heard of. The Packard Motor Car Company had been building luxury automobiles since 1899, and by the early 1950s they were struggling. Sales were falling. The brand was losing its prestige. In 1955, desperate to generate interest, Packard introduced an option on some of their models called Touch Button Ultramatic. Instead of a conventional shift lever, drivers selected gears using a row of push buttons mounted on the dashboard. Packard's execution was crude. The buttons were mechanical linkages that physically actuated the transmission valve body. The system was finicky. It did not sell well, and Packard, already on life support, would be gone entirely by 1958. But Chrysler's engineers had been watching. Chrysler in the mid-1950s was run by engineers, not accountants, not marketers. The head of that engineering department was Robert M. Cunningham. Cunningham looked at Packard's push-button concept and saw potential, but he also saw the flaws. Packard's system was mechanically complex and prone to failure. Chrysler's approach would be different. They would use electrical solenoids. When you pressed a button, it completed an electrical circuit, energized a solenoid in the transmission, and mechanically actuated the valve that controlled gear engagement. It was simpler, it was more reliable, and critically, it freed up interior design space. No column-mounted shift lever meant a cleaner dashboard. No floor-mounted lever meant a flat, unobstructed floor. For the stylists designing increasingly elaborate interiors in the 1950s, that was gold. The system debuted in 1956 on nearly the entire Chrysler Corporation lineup: Plymouth, Dodge, DeSoto, Chrysler, and Imperial. If you bought a car with Chrysler's PowerFlite 2-speed automatic or their TorqueFlite 3-speed automatic, you got push buttons. The button pod was typically mounted on the left side of the dashboard, right where a driver's left hand would naturally rest. Park sat at the top, reverse just below it, then neutral, then the forward gears. You pushed a button. A solenoid clicked. The transmission responded, and then you drove. For customers used to wrestling column shifters or floor levers, the interface felt futuristic. It felt modern. It felt like something out of a science fiction movie, which in 1956 was exactly the aesthetic Detroit was chasing. So why did it work? The electrical side of the system was straightforward. Each button was a simple switch. Pressing it sent current to a solenoid mounted on the transmission. The solenoid pulled a mechanical linkage that moved the transmission's valve body into the selected gear position. Once the gear engaged, you released the button. The mechanical detent in the transmission held the valve in place. There was no need for the electrical circuit to remain energized. The system drew power only during the split second you were actually pressing the button. That made it reliable. There were no motors to burn out, no complex wiring harnesses to short circuit, just a momentary switch, a solenoid, and a mechanical linkage. Chrysler's TorqueFlite transmission, introduced in 1956 alongside the push-button controls, was itself a revelation. It was a 3-speed automatic with a planetary gear set design that would go on to become one of the most durable automatics ever built. That transmission stayed in production in evolved forms into the 2000s. The push-button interface was just the control method. The real engineering triumph was the TorqueFlite sitting behind it. From a driver's perspective, the system had genuine advantages. Shifting was effortless. You did not need to apply any force. You did not need to look down and confirm the lever was in the right gate. You pressed a button. The transmission did the rest. For elderly drivers or drivers with limited hand strength, it was easier than wrestling a stiff column shifter. The dashboard-mounted pod also meant the front bench seat had no obstruction. 3 adults could sit comfortably across the front of the car without anyone straddling a transmission hump or shift lever. In an era when front bench seats were standard and bucket seats were rare, that mattered. But there were quirks. Early adopters quickly discovered that it was possible to press the wrong button. Muscle memory from years of using a shift lever did not translate. Drivers reaching for where a lever should be would sometimes hit reverse when they meant drive. Chrysler responded by adding a safety interlock. You could not shift out of park unless your foot was on the brake. That helped. Another issue was less obvious, but more insidious. The push-button pod, mounted on the left side of the dashboard, was positioned perfectly for the driver, but it was also positioned perfectly for passengers to accidentally brush against. A front seat passenger reaching for the radio or the glove box could inadvertently knock the car into neutral. Chrysler never fully solved that one. They just told people to be careful. The system was not without its failures, but those failures were rarely electrical. The solenoids were robust. The switches were simple. What failed, when anything failed, was the mechanical linkage between the solenoid and the transmission valve body. That linkage ran through the firewall, down alongside the engine block, and into the transmission case. It was exposed to heat, vibration, and road grime. Over time, the linkage could bind, bend, or seize. When that happened, you would press a button and nothing would occur. The solenoid would click, but the transmission would not respond. The fix was straightforward. A mechanic would crawl under the car, inspect the linkage, clean it, lubricate it, and adjust it. It was maintenance, not catastrophic failure. But it was maintenance that column shifters and floor levers did not require. Despite the quirks, the system sold. Chrysler kept it in production from 1956 through 1964. 9 model years, hundreds of thousands of cars. And for most of that run, it was a Chrysler exclusive. General Motors never adopted it. Ford never adopted it. American Motors never adopted it. Chrysler owned the push-button transmission interface, and they made it a signature feature of their brand identity throughout the late 1950s and early 1960s. But by 1964, the automotive world was changing. The muscle car era was beginning. Performance was becoming the dominant sales narrative, and performance cars were starting to use floor-mounted shifters, not because they were better functionally, but because they looked and felt more aggressive. A Hurst shifter with a T-handle sticking up from the floor between the seats had a visceral, mechanical presence that a row of buttons on the dashboard simply could not match. Chrysler's marketing team saw the shift happening and tried to adapt. They introduced a console-mounted shift lever option alongside the push buttons in 1963, giving buyers a choice. By 1965, the push buttons were gone entirely, replaced by conventional column and console shifters across the entire Chrysler lineup. The decision was not driven by mechanical failure or customer complaints. It was driven by perception. The push-button system worked. It just did not fit the image that car buyers wanted anymore. There is an irony buried in that transition. The push-button interface was genuinely innovative. It simplified the act of selecting a gear. It freed up interior space. It introduced electrical control into an area of the car that had been purely mechanical for decades. But innovation does not always survive contact with culture. And in the mid-1960s, American car culture wanted something that felt powerful and direct, not something that felt automated and distant. A button you pressed with your index finger could not compete with a lever you grabbed and slammed forward. The tactile experience mattered more than the functional outcome. What Chrysler proved, though, was that electrical shift control could work in a production vehicle. The solenoid and valve body architecture they developed in the 1950s became a reference point for future transmission designers. When electronic transmission control became standard in the 1980s and 1990s, the engineers developing those systems were building on principles that Chrysler had worked out 30 years earlier. The physical buttons were gone, but the idea that you could use electrical signals to command hydraulic actuators inside a transmission survived. Modern vehicles with rotary gear selectors, joystick shifters, or steering column mounted buttons are all descendants of Chrysler's push-button experiment. The 2013 Ram pickup with its rotary dial shifter, the Jaguar F-Type with its rising gear selector, the Tesla Model S with its column-mounted stalk, all of them rely on the same fundamental concept. An electrical input triggers a mechanical response inside the transmission. The execution has become more sophisticated. The components are electronic rather than electromechanical, but the underlying logic is identical to what Chrysler implemented in 1956. Collectors and restorers today treat the push-button Chrysler models as desirable pieces of automotive history. A 1959 Chrysler 300E, with its original push-button transmission in working order, commands respect at car shows. Not because the system was flawless, but because it represented a moment when an American automaker was willing to try something genuinely different. The buttons themselves have become iconic. Photographers frame them in close-up shots. Restoration specialists hunt for original pods to keep cars factory correct. What was once a polarizing feature has become a celebrated detail. The engineering lessons learned from the push-button era extended beyond the interface itself. Chrysler's experience with solenoid actuation, electrical interlocks, and fail-safe mechanisms informed their later automatic transmission development. The TorqueFlite transmissions that followed in the 1960s and 1970s, which became legendary for their durability and performance, carried forward knowledge gained from managing electrical and hydraulic systems in close coordination. Those transmissions did not use push buttons, but they benefited from the institutional expertise Chrysler had built while developing and supporting the push-button system across 9 years of production. There is also a human element to the story that gets overlooked. The engineers who designed the push-button system were not trying to solve a problem that customers were complaining about. Nobody in 1955 was writing letters to Chrysler demanding an easier way to shift gears. The innovation came from inside the engineering department, from people who believed that automation and electrical control were the logical next steps in automotive design. They were early, and being early in the car business often means being forgotten. The push-button transmission died not because it failed, but because it succeeded at the wrong time. It worked exactly as intended. It was reliable enough for 9 years of production. It was simple enough for millions of drivers to use daily without incident. But it arrived in an era that valued mechanical drama over electrical convenience. And when that era shifted toward muscle and performance, the push buttons could not compete with the theater of a floor-mounted Hurst shifter. Perception beat engineering. Today, when you press a button to shift your electric vehicle into drive or rotate a dial to select reverse in a modern pickup, you are using a direct descendant of technology that Chrysler brought to market in 1956. The push buttons are gone, but the idea behind them never left. Sometimes the most important innovations are not the ones that dominate their own era, They are the ones that quietly prove a concept works, then step aside and let the future catch up.